I'm very concerned our youth are distracted at a time their very lives could be at stake. My name is Rex2019, and I have a simple message for the youth of Nigeria. It's time to stop letting things happen to you. It's time to take charge and influence the outcome that will be your future. Your very life may depend on it. Why do I say this? Because if we do not pay attention now, in the near future, the vast majority of us may become dead, may be dead, become refugees, or suffer under the rule of warlords, militias, and area gangs. Why is this? This is because that's the simple and logical conclusion of three developments facing us today. The first is the direction of current conflicts in the nation. There's too much disunity in our politics and amongst us as a people. This is drifting towards full-scale war. There's already a low-grade war currently going on in the middle of the country, which the nation isn't focused on, nor is such war being widely reported. It's mostly the youth that will have to fight and lose their lives in any such war and would otherwise bear the biggest brunt and the losses from such conflicts. The second is the growing tensions from our rapidly growing population, 50 million of which are currently under 15 years, and are not being properly educated or otherwise equipped to provide for themselves in the future or contribute to the future Nigerian economy that can produce enough for all of us sufficiently. The conflicts and security challenges that would explode all over the place when such children come of age would be enormous, and it would most likely surmount the nation's capacity to cope. The third is the expanding prevalence of poverty in the land. This is evident for all to see, and this can only result in mass violence, ultimately, if we do not reverse this. Any one or all three of these developments could very likely and quickly end in full-scale war or general social unrest. If the youth do not step up now and pay attention for once to save ourselves and make our future and make a dramatic, transformative break from the past, we have the most to lose and the most to gain. I know, like me, many of us have been observing political events from the sidelines, assuming adults are in charge and hoping enough responsible adults exist that know and would do the right thing to save our country. Unfortunately, that has not been the case, and we can no longer rely on such hope. The youth now form a dominant, effective majority of voters, which many may not even realize. We have a chance, and maybe one last chance, to change things peacefully in this country with the upcoming elections. So I plead with you to give the same level of attention as you can give to Big Brother Nigeria to the big problem that is Nigeria, to permit us to effectively mobilize and organize for the salvation of our country and the future of each of us. The same energy and interest which many followed Big Brother Nigeria is enough to change our country permanently for the best. And this is how. The first task is to consolidate our numbers on one platform to show firstly to ourselves our numbers and our strength, and the force for change that we actually are. For this, I have already taken the initiative to establish a platform. It's currently called Rex2019.com for such youth movement, which is committed to simple, transparent, democratic processes. And it's uniquely set up to give qualified youth, those without godfathers, a fighting chance to serve. So I please implore you to register with Rex2019.com or go online to Rex2019.com or simply Google Rex2019.com and sign up. Participating is as simple as voting on Big Brother, in that you simply vote with your phone on every decision we need to make. You need not do more than that at this stage until we decide together otherwise. We will jointly decide what name the organization to have and how to deploy such power and what party or candidates to adopt or support. Again, participating is as easy as voting on Big Brother, except this is not a show. This is our reality. After we unite on a common platform, the next task would be to outline and agree on a set of objectives to unite and mobilize around achieving. I have come up with and proposed the following 12 cardinal goals for us to consider. The first is devolution of power to the states and local governments for optimum accountability. Call it restructuring or call it whatever. The bottom line is we need to devolve power away from the bottleneck to development, that is the federal government. This is the easiest and the quickest fix to Nigeria's problems today, and the key, together with education, to foster unity and maximize development. Local governments and states should be where the action is and give freedom to a diversity of ideas and solutions to our various problems, which are mostly local anyway. And most importantly, to bring government closer to the people for better accountability and responsiveness. This would greatly reduce the adverse and corrupting influence of the imperial presidency we currently permit to exist to the detriment of all of us. Second is security. We need to triple the pay of policemen and women and double their numbers with major retraining and recruitment of qualified, educated, currently unemployed youths. We need to make being a police officer or a teacher super attractive. This should be pursued together with the establishment of a state police and a National Guard system, with the federal government focused on funding first-class police academies for minimum standards to produce quality police officers. The focus should be to make the nation one of the safest in the world, to promote investments, commerce, and tourism, and to permit nighttime economies to flourish across the nation. This would boost employment and the government's tax base. We are severely under-policed as a nation, and the level of insecurity we permit ourselves to live with makes no sense. We also need to use available modern technology, such as drones adapted for safe urban and rural policing, to boost rapid response to emergencies and the tracking of criminal elements. Also integral to providing security nationwide is the need to ensure that our judicial system works for all, and that its enforcement mechanism, the police, is potently effective and impartial, particularly at the retail level in local communities, such that they provide a satisfactory platform for the average person on the street or whole communities to seek justice and redress for perceived injustice without having to resort to self-help. And of course, you cannot sustainably address security without addressing the economy, specifically mass unemployment. And that's why number 3 on my list is the economy. The key objective here should be on measures to boost low-interest credit to small and medium-sized businesses and businesses in general, and to remove the government from competing with business for credit rather than serving as a catalyst for growth. In support of this, I would propose the following. First, we establish new special fast-track commercial courts and an enforcement infrastructure to support commercial lending. As a major reason the banks give for high interest rates is the poor enforcement mechanism available to them. And 2, we substantially reduce or eliminate government borrowing from local banks, which has been crowding out financing for local businesses. Third, we need to effect federal allocations through what are called dollar receipts accounting, rather than the current inflationary practice of printing more naira to match the nation's dollar income from oil sales, which is detrimental to the value of the naira and inflationary. Such dollar receipt accounting would also remove the perverse incentive and the opportunity for the government to corruptly steal from all of us, the masses, on a large scale by simply and perversely depreciating the value of the naira every time it needs to meet its own balance of payment shortfalls for salaries and other payment obligations. 4, we need to continue and radically increase investments in agriculture, mineral resources, and support for transformative programs like the Dangote refinery. Speaking of transformative projects, Nigeria needs to immediately adopt and as soon as possible pursue the desert to energy initiatives such as Desert Tech, whereby we cover the entire Sahara Desert with solar panels for power generation and have the North earn as much foreign exchange as the Niger Delta for the country. Such singular initiative, which is low-tech and very labor-intensive, when properly done, has the capacity to singularly solve the youth unemployment crisis in the North and transform the economy of the North and the nation, and also solve various social and environmental problems, including the farmers and herdsmen conflicts that result from environmental factors. A video and other materials of such a transformative initiative are accessible on the website, Rex2019.com. So please enlighten yourself and see what's possible, the associated challenges, and how we can readily overcome such. 6, we need to effect power reform policies directed at encouraging the widespread deployment of cost-effective solar power systems for the residential and small business use, with the generating companies and the distribution companies liberated to focus on powering industrial growth and mass employment. I discuss more of this later on the power. 7, we need a Marshall Plan to address youth unemployment, particularly in the North. Such plan should include a network of artisan and industrial cities that coordinate job training and employment for the youth. The fourth cardinal objective I propose is education. Though this is listed fourth, this should ultimately be the biggest focus of all levels of government, with the focus on 3 things. The first is free quality education, including free feeding, beginning with educationally disadvantaged states. The second is quality teaching content through the rapid deployment of solar-powered e-learning platforms in all secondary schools in the Federation, for the rapid deployment of first-rate teaching content and the incorporation of pre-K learning into the curriculum. And 3, tripling the pay of teachers. I would elaborate on each. There is simply no way to transform this country without free mass quality education. We need to move from the mindset that free education is a nice thing to have or that we can't afford it. Free education is not a nice thing to have, but a necessary thing, as there is simply no other way to transform this country without it. We can certainly afford it, it's just a matter of priorities. The idea for the solar-powered e-learning platform is very simple and cheap. Pick one secured classroom in each secondary school for starters. Put just 4 solar panels of 300 watts each on the roof. Install a 42-inch TV or projector in the room. Include a single laptop which you connect to the TV or projector and add Wi-Fi. And voila, you can download and project into every classroom, in every school, anywhere, the very best classes in the world, in every subject to our children in every school, no matter how remote the location or village. It would be like sending every child to the best school abroad, simply by bringing the best teaching to every Nigerian child. The idea would be to initially rotate various classes in this single room for subjects like math, science, and English, with the teachers paying attention and pausing as required to ask questions of the students and engage the class in interactive sessions. This would, of course, also serve as a platform for teacher training. And at the weekends, we can provide pre-K learning classes and videos to children under 5 years old in the community. This can also be further leveraged to provide for telemedicine to the community. A video of such actual deployment in operation is available to view on the Rex2019.com website, and the cost to deploy such a platform to every government secondary school in the country is less than $150 million US. The government can readily fund this. Or better still, we can get the telcos, social media companies like Glo, MTN, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, to bid to fund this in exchange for the opportunity to sign up a new generation of millions of subscribers. Third, we need to triple the pay of teachers and retrain such teachers for 22nd century learning. Yes, 22nd century. And the utilization, of course, of online resources. At this stage of our development, education should be a minimum of 43% of all government budgets for the next 5 to 10 years. I also propose that we introduce a unique result-based retirement system to compensate and reward teachers beyond basic compensation. That is the establishment of an online platform for grateful students to annually gift and reward teachers that they deemed helped them, say at the end of each year during the holiday season. That way, you should expect some teachers rightfully become millionaires through such a program. And each teacher is then incentivized to really help each and every student be successful, as their success at this would benefit their own future retirement. That is, each student that each teacher helps be successful, the more students the teacher helps, the more the teacher can expect to be rewarded. This should make teaching very exciting and super productive. An email notice will simply go out to each person during the end of the year, telling them about the teachers who taught them and asking if they would like to donate to their retirement, and provide a facility for you to fund such online donation. 5 on my list is anti-corruption measures. Solving corruption is easy. It's not hard. With following 3 simple reforms, we would practically eliminate corruption in government. Firstly, total transparency. There's no reason why all government credits and debits should not be publicly and transparently displayed online in real time as alerts on a public dashboard for all to monitor, critique, and comment on, and otherwise review. Every single income and spend must be public and online with full disclosure of to who and for what and of course how much. Introduction of such radical transparency will be the biggest disinfectant to corruption, and this is easily and readily achievable with today's technology. A real-time example of how easily this can be done is displayed actually on the website I have established as Rex2019.com to promote this initiative. Secondly, we need to remove the discretion of the president and governors to approve contracts and all blocks by the establishment of professional panels of rotating experts to qualify the top 3 candidates for all blocks or government contracts above a certain threshold, with a publicly televised lottery at the end to determine the ultimate winner. A special government TV channel could be set up for this. The president or governors really have no business or special skill approving contracts and only introduce a generally unhealthy bias, favoritism, and of course corruption to the process. Their powers should be limited to simply saying no and throwing the matter back to the panel where necessary, but should exclude any power to consent to any contract. Thirdly, same process needs to apply as a random lottery system to nominate the heads of the anti-corruption agencies, the EFCC and ICPC. And this is to shield and free them from political influence and encourage career professionals, such as government prosecutors and lawyers and detectives, to build their careers and reputations, pursuing and taking down corruption, and to remove the persecution of corruption from political influence as much as possible. By instituting the above 3 simple processes, we can virtually eliminate government corruption in Nigeria. 6 is healthcare. For this, I propose the rapid deployment of technology that incorporates a low-cost telemedicine network into basic healthcare delivery, beginning perhaps with leveraging the Wi-Fi we already deployed with the solar-powered e-learning platform for secondary schools that I discussed earlier. Secondly, we need the development of a broad-based and effective health insurance scheme to encourage investments in the healthcare sector. And third, we need targeted programs to eliminate specific costly ailments, such as malaria, from Nigeria. Just imagine the cost savings and boost to our lives in Nigeria if just malaria is made a thing of the past. This is readily achievable today with the right political will. It's already been done in Rwanda and Ethiopia, according to the World Health Organization. 7 is power and the continuity of existing good government programs. On power, the government needs to stop focusing on building power plants, an investment it cannot realistically maintain or keep up with to meet the nation's growing population and power needs, even with ill-advised crippling loans. There is more than enough private capital in the world that can and would gladly and more capably fund all our power needs if the government can get out of the way and focus on what it should focus on, which is providing a safe country for investors and developing a population that can pay a reasonable commercial rate for power. The government can do this by investing more in providing security and free quality education. In the long run, it's the quality of our youths that will determine our future. So we have to invest in them more than in any other sector. Yes, the government should invest first and foremost in security and education, and power will be solved more capably by the private sector. If the government establishes simple, clear, smart policies and regulations, then gets out of the way. Specifically, I would propose that the government free the power companies to charge whatever market competition would bear in exchange for the power companies providing a guaranteed level of power sufficient to power at least a rechargeable fan every day between the hours of 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. and between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. and then power all street lights in the nation from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. The idea behind this is that the quickest way to solve power is to quickly and broadly expand the consumer base that is gainfully employed and therefore capable of paying a realistic market tariff. The quickest way to broaden such a base is to expand our industrial and agricultural base. With the power companies permitted to focus primarily on industries, we can grow our industries and employ more people at well-paying jobs in such industries and the services that would grow along with such industries. In addition, The government should effect policies that support the broad-based adoption of solar power for residential and small business use, such as maintain zero duties on solar panels and severely reduce or remove duties on solar batteries and small capacity inverters, while pursuing the local production of each such item. This, however, would only work as it should if at the same time or before the government makes the required investment in security and education, which is necessary to attract such investment and to provide the skilled manpower base to propel such industrial growth. On government continuity, the key point here is that we need to break the jinx of policy flip-flops and the waste associated with good programs becoming orphaned by succeeding administrations. The next incoming government should continue and boost specifically things like the Dangote refinery because of its transformative potential, irrespective of any other consideration. And two, there's currently a rural electrification program under the current Vice President's office, which is largely solar power driven. This should be continued. Number 8 on the list for me is political reform. We need to simplify the process and the mechanism for recalling elected officials to foster better accountability. Our political representatives, the senators and House of Rep members, should be recallable with more than 20% of the number of votes that elected them into office. That way, that will keep them more on their toes. 9 is workers' rights and protections. I believe we should have and immediately pass a law that prohibits and penalizes employers, owners and managers that owe employees more than 1 month's salary, yet continue to pay themselves. Secondly, we should also pass a law that ensures that service workers, such as waiters and waitresses, are paid all amounts due to them as service charge or tips that are processed through POS systems. I'm told that's currently not the case. 10 is cultural reawakening. We need a robust program to preserve and actively promote the history and learnings of and from ancient African kingdoms and societies. This is for the benefit of all Africans and for mankind. Though I list this 10th, it is as important as anything else should be, and this should be incorporated into our educational programs in general. 11 is the environment. This is actually one area that provides a big opportunity for us to turn our current underdevelopment into a plus, whereby we can chart our development in an environmentally friendly manner and avoid the huge costs in health and otherwise that nations like China now have to undertake to reverse years of pollution. For this, we need aggressive and targeted measures and policies and programs to address growing environmental challenges, including desertification, erosion, air pollution, and the pollution of various bodies of water, and of course, waste management. The Desert to Energy initiative I discussed earlier is one that is readily implementable and that can transform the Sahara Desert into fertile ground for agriculture and pasture and help solve a lot of the conflicts in the north of the country. We also need policies to support the large-scale deployment and promotion of solar power and the use of electric vehicles. The aim would be to make solar power the source of power for the vast majority of residences and small to medium-scale businesses as part of power reform and economic programs, with efforts to boost the domestic manufacturing of items like solar panels, batteries, and inverters, and to leapfrog to electric vehicles from petrol-burning vehicles, like we did with cell phones from landlines. Now, remember, the foundations for the problems we all complain about today were laid in the past through inaction. So please do yourself a favor and participate actively now to play your part to shape our future and transform our country to the very pleasant and happy place it actually can be. Thank you.